1900 researchers. We track, revise, and
So previously Tristan said we're solving diarrhea, now we're solving murder.
yeah, we're solving a crime scene.
Okay. Hey everyone, welcome back to the second episode of the XTract series where we extract and distill knowledge from our guests. Today, we are presented with a very special guest. This is Felix, co-founder and CEO of XTrace, and I am the Chief Growth Officer. And so, yeah, without further ado, let's get started, jump right in, and I will also give Felix a quick second if he wants to give a brief intro about himself.
Hi, as Austin said, I'm the CEO and founder of XTrace. It's kind of funny that we are just inviting ourselves, but trust me, in the future we have other guests. So yeah, I'm the person who's mainly designing the memory system, the artifact system, the belief system that we're building out in XTrace. So love to cover it here and let people understand what we're doing.
Okay, so yeah, Felix, let's talk a little bit about kind of the design of the system, right? I think ultimately what we realize is current memory is broken. And so how are you thinking about fixing that?
Yeah, I think current memory from a lot of companies out there mainly treat like all the conversation, just basically embed all the conversation previously and perform like a semantic search over the conversations. Yeah, and then that's basically what they're doing, but that's not really how like our memory works. So that's why we borrowed the concept of belief revision system that is from 1900 researchers. Their whole idea is to work on like how does a human or like an agent maintain a belief state about the world around them. When the world is updating, how do you maintain your belief and capture the state of what is happening? And we borrow that concept and allow like XTrace, like the AI agent of XTrace, and our memory layer to be that. So in that scenario, the AI agent becomes the agent, and then the world becomes the user, the team, the project they're working on, and all that. So that the agent can manage, maintain an accurate belief of what is happening around the world, and have a provenance chance of, because the world created like a new project, or because the world, which like the user I'm talking about, moves in other cities, so I have to update accordingly my belief, and also provide the provenance that because of he moves from San Francisco to New York, for instance, so all of these other beliefs have to be changed. Yeah.
And what's kind of happening under the hood, right? Like this is like more abstract, but in terms of the actual architecture that you built, like what does that look like? All these different concepts, how do we actually turn that into code?
Yeah, so the concept about like belief revision is that they need to support 3 states, which is like retract, revise, and up, and then just add. I think there's like three specific words that I can't recall my mind right now, but the whole idea is that we can use this 3 identity to express all the beliefs around us, like how we update, how we contract, how we revise. And there's like all this kind of logical expressions about like entailment, epistemic entrenchment, and all that. So we are using all that concept and kind of transferring into the code base, so that our memory agent can do toward calls internally to resolve like certain operations, and then make sure that all of this can be reflected in the database, and then it can be maintained.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what's like kind of an example for like the viewers, like, okay, so what is currently happening with say like ChatGPT, and then how does XTrace change that or have a better way of maintaining that memory?
Yeah, like easy example is like, for instance, like if the user previously was like eating meat, and then he's had like a lot of conversations about him going to different restaurants, his preference and all that. And then maybe one day he turned to vegan for whatever religious reason or like health reason.
Okay.
Like all that old context will not be updated. So in the future, when the user are still talking about like his preference, maybe all the previous like food he likes, and he still likes steaks and all that, will be still returned, because there's no way to resolve that kind of conflicts. And then in X-ray system, because we're maintaining a belief system, so once the user say like, oh, I'm a vegan now, all of that old facts and beliefs will be retracted, because we know that all of this are related to like your food preference, but this user's vegan will simply just remove all of the other things and maintain the current state of belief. And on top of that, we never delete your memory. So when you can ask, like, oh, why don't I like meat anymore? Then you can actually see the proof that it is, because you say you're vegan now. So that's why we mark this as a retracted fact. Yeah.
Gotcha. And then how does this like, because I think what we're building is specific to work, right? Like how does this relate to work memory?
Yeah, on top of that, like a lot of memory system is really good at answering a question like, what is it about the user? But when you are like, say for instance, in the scenario you want like ChatGPT to write a blog for you, it can do it and it can maybe remember that user wants me to write a blog about my company XYZ. But when you ask like what do you wrote about my blog, what are the iteration chain and all that, we will not be able, like ChatGPT will not be able to capture it. But actually treat this as like a separate question. We're almost thinking about like how like previously when your developers are coding, they're using Git to maintain all their versions. And then now when the AI, chatting with AI becomes a new way of coding for everyone, right? Like non-developers or developers. But there's not a good way to track like the version, the deliverables that are created, the artifacts that are created by AI agents. So that's why XTrace can really capture like each iteration of your blogs, your documents, your code, and all that. And then you can ask like a specific question like what happened between all this chain? Why do we end up here and all that? Yeah.
Gotcha. And how are you thinking about like, we're using this as well, right, internally for our own use cases. Like what's been like the best use case so far for you?
Yeah, I think it's kind of like when debugging, like we can really know like what happened previously. So like giving like an analogy, right? It's like when you are at a crime scene and then when we found a bug, you just found like a corpse there. And then okay, that guy is dead. And then you just, the AI comes or people come, the detective have to kind of think through it, find all the evidence to say, oh, why is this guy dead? And that's like a lot of mental work and possibly like an unsolved mystery. And then adding XTracing like our workflow is having a surveillance camera. So you can literally see who killed that guy. Okay. And then you can just directly see all the chain, what happened, what is motivation that the murderer want to do that. Okay, so, it's bad to compare developer and murder, but the guy who introduced a bug, what are they thinking and what caused this? Yeah. And what should we respect when we are like doing this code, when we're fixing it?
Okay, yeah. So previously Tristan said we're solving diarrhea, now we're solving murder.
Yeah, we're solving a crime scene.
Okay. And then in terms of just overall like future roadmap, like where do you see this headed? Right now we are capturing, unifying a lot of this context, a lot of this intelligence from a business. What does that look like after?
Yeah, so currently everything is still passive. So this is like the most of the memory layer and also XTrace current state right now. But what we really introduced in the next state is a context agent. So giving user like the real control to actively create context space and manage your memory. For instance, in the future, like using our context agent, the user can directly do something like remove all my memory about like my trips or my personal life because I want this to be only work focused. Or you can say create a context space of this specific project initiative, like the go-to-market for Q2 XTrace. Then the AI or context agent will proactively gather the minimum viable context for you to work and guarantee that there's no noise that will always be introducing like specific session. And then we're really thinking that just AI is not enough. We really need to get human involved in order to make this work, to make sure that human can like have their feedback, have their input into the system so they can feel in control over their context and their memory. And on top of that, the next stage will also be sharing, right? Because we are trying to answer the question like what does it even mean to share knowledge or share memory? Because when I'm talking with you, right, I won't just give you my whole brain and then just throw it to you. But that's kind of what the whole AI agent ecosystem is doing. They just give the whole database directly to another new agent and expect them to reason it out and learn about everything. And essentially it's a black box to the new agent and then they don't even know what's in there. And what we're trying to solve is that it should be work balanced. So the work, the artifact, or a specific initiative or project should be the magnet that grabs all the specific knowledge and facts that is surrounded. And then using that as like the atomic context space, then we can share with different teammates and then even create like a contract or a table of content, like how do we use this context space and how do you pull data from it and how's your update rule and all that. Yeah.
Right. Okay. And then I guess like thinking about like, we built the infrastructure, we built the platform on top, for our listeners, like how would they use us, right? Like there's two different almost like products right now. Like, can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, so for developers, it's more like when you're building an AI agent and anything that relates with work will be the API that can help you to capture all your deliverables that the AI created and even potentially unlocking the future of like continuous improvement, right? Like maybe your AI agent is serving 100 customers it can actually learn from their preference. Like maybe 30 people will say like stop using M dash, and that should be like something that the AI agent should learn. Or they always say like I want to have like a better markdown style or all that. So that can be something that is help the agent developers to enable their agent to continuously learn. But on top of that, we can really just be like a memory layer that helps you maintain and manage your context, save token costs because you don't have to dump the whole conversation again and again, and also increase intelligence because it kills all the context fraud, and on top of that, just make the system like more holistic and more scalable because memory is really the moat right now in the AI agent era as the model getting commoditized. Your memory become your moat, right? If you don't own the context, if you don't own the memory, you don't own the agent that you build. Yeah, and then for consumers or like for businesses, we're really trying to become like the control panel.
So when you think about the product XTrace, right, it is pretty complex, it's very technical, and there's a lot of different components to it. So if you can break it down for our user, how can they use us? What are the main two different products that we're selling?
Yeah, so we're really targeting like the three main categories, right? Like developers, consumers/prosumers, and like team of business. And then for developers, they can think about us like how they're using current like memories, like when they're building an AI agent, they can use us as a way to introduce memory back to their AI agent. And then when they're using it, they can basically, the main difference between using us or others like competitor products like MemZero or all the other ones is that we are really tracking like the agent's deliverables. So for instance, if you're building like a blog agent or like a CRM agent or anything agent that creates like works and deliverables, you can use XTrace to track like the different versions. What does it progress? What does the user want? Why does it go from V1 to V2 to V3? And of course, also like all the beliefs about the user. And because you're tracking like all this like version 1, version 2, version 3 of like the deliverable or artifact the agent created, and the reason why they move from V1 to V2 because like the user is like specific just during their decision, they're actually building like a decision tree out of like the whole like user feedback. And for developers, that would be like a super valuable insight that they can potentially use that for continuous learning for the AI agents to really capture like what the users wants. Like for instance, if 10 users out of 8 are having a decision, say, oh, I hate V1 because there are too many M dash, then that's probably a rule that you embed into your system. Or it's say, oh, it's too like cringe, it doesn't talk like professionally, you sound too much AI or all that kind of feedback that can all be incorporated. Or they say, oh, I always want 5 verse. Like that will be like really valuable insight for the developers to track. And then for consumer and for business, you can really view XTrace as like a way to manage your context. So we're trying to position ourselves as a control panel for your AI context, and on top of that, unlocking like sharing and even like removal or cron jobs to like update your memory and knowledge base and perform like auto search or auto connect, auto summarize like your Zoom calls and all that to create like a context base that you can share with different teammates. So what you can do with XTrace, like you can just like sign up to the memory hub right now, like or version 1 is more towards prosumers or consumers, connect all your AI tools. You have like a unified view and it can continuously be updated, and then you can use it in ChatGPT, Cloud, or Gemini across different platforms. And the main difference between us and like, oh, you say, some people can ask like, oh, then Cloud can support like export memory and all of that, right? But that kind of scenario is like a one-time snapshot. So it's assuming that after you export your memory from Cloud to Gemini, then you'll never use Cloud again, or vice versa. But what we're trying to build is it becomes like continuous, you own your memory, you can choose where to plug into different models, and they're continuously being updated. And that's the main differentiator right now for consumers. And then after a V2 feature is out, you can really just control like, talk with our context agent, it'll create a context base for you and help you like really manage your memory and context well. So that you won't get into the problem that when I myself was using ChatGPT or Cloud, like a lot of old memory just keep on coming back. I was trying to code and say, oh, you were sick last week, you should try to take more rest, stop coding, like stuff like that I don't want to pollute my context. So I think that's kind of what we're bringing to the consumer. And things will get even more interesting in the business sense, because now we are passively gathering like all the information, the skill, the intelligence of this specific company, basically giving back like company their control over their own intelligence and IP, and then allowing them to share with different teammates, to own it, to like even introduce like employee onboarding. Like there's just like a lot of opportunity to think about. Like after you own all your context and your intelligence, how do you use it will become the new problem. But then we'll first make sure you can own everything you have. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time, Felix. And feel free to catch us in our next episode and also look at the first one as well. Thank you so much for joining the XTract series.
Thank you.